Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Listen to Star Wars Light of the Jedi, written by Charles Soule, read by Mark Thompson, and Star Wars The High Republic, A Test of Courage, written by Justina Ireland and read by Kaylor Lee. Available now wherever audiobooks are sold.
This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi, show number 392. This is your spoiler-free place for Star Wars discussion, analysis, and rhetoric. I'm your host, Dan Z, drinking One Nation coffee out of my Star Wars Half Marathon The Dark Side mug from Run Disney 2017. Thrilled to talk Star Wars with each and every one of you. Coffee with Kenobi is sponsored by One Nation Coffee and MSI and MSI Fan Travel, the official travel partner of Coffee with Kenobi. On today's show, I bring you an interview I did with the creatives behind Hasbro as they discuss the recent announcement of the Lucasfilm Black Series and Vintage Collection figures. You may have seen the new packaging. It features the Lucasfilm 50th anniversary logo, gorgeously inserted on the card itself. It is fantastic. So let's go ahead and do this. Pull up a chair, grab your favorite coffee mug, and let's have some coffee with Kenobi.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's good to see you guys as always. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Patrick. I'm on the marketing side for our Star Wars fan team.
Yep, and my name's Eric. I'm on the design side for the Star Wars fan team.
But we'll dive in so we can make the most of the time. But thank you guys for joining us. So I think first up is James. James, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for making the time to do this.
Absolutely, thank you.
So the image of the upcoming vintage figure Paplu has the wrong Ewok on it. And we wondered if there was time to change to get it correct, please.
Yeah, so we had a lot of conversations about this one, as I'm sure you can imagine, just kind of given the heritage and the history of the figure. This was intentional. So basically, we wanted to recreate that figure's original card back expression, even though the card depicts Ramba. That's our mindset as we focus for characters within those original 96 Kenner figures. You may recall kind of similarly, we revealed Zutton as kind of original 96 adjacent. And since Zutton, I'm trying to keep track of all this, since Zutton obviously was not on the original card back, it was a new figure. So it would be like if we did Ramba, although obviously, of course, Ramba was in Power of the Force. So it's kind of a reverse of that situation. But basically, kind of our guiding principle at this point is that whenever we do a figure from the original 96, where the actual figure is from the original 96, we try to stay true to that expression from the original Kenner figure. And those were our conversations. Obviously, Eric and the rest of the design team, and we all are super fans, and so we kind of all have our point of view. And I've certainly read comments, since the reveal, echoing what you said, James, and then comments the other way. So it seems like there's some heat on both sides, but that was the intention.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. I think up next is George.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me be a part of this. My first question is for the Phantom Menace Black Series figures that are going to come out that wave. Are they going to, for the card backs, are they going to have the same image on the back like the 20th anniversary ones, or are they going to resemble the other ones back when they first came out?
So they aren't going to match the previous release of the Darth Maul and Obi-Wan at the moment. They have a bio on the back as well as that kind of the 50th timeline. So that's kind of what's on the back of the card for right now. So that will be a bit of a departure from the Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Cool. I believe Dan from Coffee with Kenobi is up next.
All right.
Dan?
Hello, friends. Good to see you all. Question, the likeness of these actors as seen on the Phantom Menace 50th anniversary Lucasfilm Black Series figures continues to be mind-blowingly good. Talk about the advancements in photorealism and how they continue to enhance your products.
So, yeah, we're really, really happy with how they've been turning out on these figures. And basically, we're able to take photos or just like images and being able to basically apply those directly to the face of the sculpts of these. So we're able to get really, really close to likeness. And there's some things we have to dial in just because each figure is a little bit different and getting the alignment just right. It's obviously helped to, like, our sculpting team does a phenomenal job in getting the likeness there. A lot of times our paint previously took away from that when we did the traditional painting. So this has allowed us to not only get them to look like the actors more, but also celebrate our sculpts better. And that's been huge for us because, yeah, when you see them unpainted, a lot of times they look even more like the actor prior to our this advancement with the photoreal. So this has just helped to enhance that and be able to get the subtlety that we never would have been able to get before.
Next up is Paul from Minton Box.
Hey, nice to meet you guys.
Absolutely.
My first question is a technical question. With the last the vintage collection figures unveiled Ahsoka and Darth Maul, it seems that you have changed to the joints. You passed to in joints and not a ball joints like the previous figure. Is going to generalize on new creation, or is due to a technical problem on these two in particular?
So these figures will each have ball jointed knees. The joints may look a little bit different just due to the hand painted and assembled models. These are a lot of times earlier prototypes. So especially for these kind of figures, we photograph them pretty early. So they may look a little bit different there. Just for the sake of the photography and trying to get it out there as early as possible. One thing to note on the Ahsoka figure is she will have swivel wrists instead of ball jointed wrists, and that's mainly an exception to the norm in order to preserve the aesthetic of the character's thinner wrists and hands. If we didn't do that, it would make her hand and wrist way larger, and it would kind of sacrifice the aesthetics of that character in particular.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. All righty. Up next is Matthew from the Star Wars Black Series Instagram. Hi, Matthew.
Hey, guys. Thanks for doing this. Just a quick one to jump in on behalf of international collectors outside of the US and the UK. And the question I'm getting asked a lot on my page is, while we understand the need for the exclusive partnerships in the US, which seem to also find their way into UK retailers. Things like the 50th anniversary Lucasfilm releases, which are Best Buy in the US and with Star Action in the UK, aren't finding their way to Canadian or Australian partners, whilst other exclusives are. And it's really to try and understand why that's happening, that the exclusives are becoming more and more increasingly US and UK based, and international partners aren't being sourced out for these across the board. Some of them are, but things like the 50th anniversary Lucasfilm, it's been a week or two now, and there's no announced partnerships.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's kind of a high-level general answer, and then kind of these specific items. High-level generally, I think in the past few years, I've said we've kind of like, we've realized, and we should have done it before, but we've realized just how strong the fan base is around the world. And, we've kind of reached out in ways, again, that were totally appropriate and right, that we should have done so. And even on this call here, we've got, the US, UK, Australia, and France represented. And that's part of our outreach in recent years, going to conventions, kind of reaching out in ways like this. Exclusives actually have been a big focus in recent years. And so I kind of looked at the numbers. We have gotten more of them out internationally. To these specific ones, in terms of Canada, part of this has to do with kind of the recent growth in pre-orders, which is something we spoke to on the live stream. So our Canadian retailers, for example, they're just not able to set up pre-orders as quickly as our US retailers. So Best Buy in Canada specifically, again, to this specific example, they need 3 to 4 business days. But I did check with the team, and these items, the Phantom Menace items, now are live and available at Best Buy Canada. So again, in some cases, it's just a bit delayed, but we'll definitely get them there. In Australia, many Australia retailers, again, in talking with the team, they don't have the capability to do pre-orders, but they'll certainly have the items once they're in stock. So these specific items, the Phantom Menace items, they'll be with a retail partner who doesn't offer pre-order, but they'll definitely be in store in a couple of months when the items go live. So again, in some cases, basically our goal is to get all these items internationally, and that's something we've talked about, is that, you know, these are critical parts of a collection, and you can't just have a hole in your collection. That wouldn't be understanding kind of the mindset of fans. And so we're working to get them all out. And then a separate thing is working to get pre-orders kind of day and date with the US. But that's kind of the specific situation on this one.
Cool, thanks.
Absolutely. All righty. And up next is Klaus from Star Wars Fans Nuremberg.
Hey, hi, this is Mike from Germany. I'm the replacement for Klaus because he had the business issue. He had a short-term meeting, and therefore he asked me. But it's not an issue for me because I work with him on the questions. And if you're allowed, I will do it for him.
Absolutely. Happy to have you here with us, Mike.
Thank you. My first question is regarding the 96 collection you introduced during the live stream. It was very great, and we are wondering if this line will be beside of the vintage collection line, or will it be included with the numbering and all the stuff, or will we have 2 separated lines for a short period?
Don't worry, there won't be separated lines. They'll be part of the regular vintage line in terms of numbering. Obviously, we know that kind of that's important to fans and kind of keeping that consistency. Some things within the vintage collection, we don't want to create kind of dueling systems. So obviously, these have that logo on the front and the timeline on the back. There's kind of packaging elements, similar to different packaging elements throughout both runs of the vintage collection, but the numbering will be consistent with the overall vintage collection.
Thank you.
Great. And we have Germany on as well. So a very, very global group, which is fantastic. Back to James.
Yes, so vintage cards are somewhat sacrosanct. And with that in mind, putting the 50th anniversary logo on the card back, when you've put stickers on the bubble before, and you're putting the stickers on the bubble for the Black Series cards in the Phantom Menace range. So was there any thought about doing that so that for those that want to keep the cards special, that they didn't have that logo on necessarily?
Yeah, so hopefully it makes you feel better that we did talk about that. So even if we ended up in a different place than you might have wanted, we took all of this into consideration. So you're exactly right. The Black Series figures have a sticker on the blister. We also had a vintage Mandalorian and Child kind of build-up larger pack that had a sticker on the blister. Basically, when we kind of mocked it up with a sticker on the blister, since these were regular vintage cards and regular vintage blisters, the blister is smaller. And so with those other items, the figures are bigger, obviously, in Black Series, and the blister was bigger for that build-up pack. So there was room to maneuver that sticker so it didn't cover the product. It just wasn't possible in this case because of the size of vintage collection figures. So that's why we landed on putting it on the packaging. Obviously, we love both the product and the packaging, but we were able to weave it into the packaging in a way that we thought kind of looked good and had a nice final result rather than covering up the product. And also, as we talked, again, we all collect, we're all fans. We kind of like, in the vintage collection, it's nice to be able to kind of trace the history and the different promotions and the different kind of events that are going on. And it's nice to kind of mark that passage of time. So that was an element we liked about it on the packaging as well.
Okay, because up until now, all of those have been, literally been stickers on the actual bubbles. So it's a difference, but okay.
Yeah. Yep. All righty. Up next is George.
All right. So my next question, for the Phantom Menace wave that's supposed to be coming out for Black Series, why go ahead and do Jar Jar again when it was just released in the regular Black Series boxes? Because per the pictures, they all look to be. The two figures look to be very similar, except the only difference is, the one that recently had a couple different accessories, and this one only has one?
So the main reason why we ended up choosing Jar Jar for this was mainly because we don't have a huge back catalog of Black Series 6-inch characters that made sense for the Phantom Menace. Last year we already did Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, and this year we did basically the other the other characters that we had access to be able to put on the card. So yeah, that was the main reason why we chose Jar Jar. Was he was basically the only other Black Series character of the main ones that made sense to put on that card. And we felt like, obviously, he was a big character in the movie, so we felt like if we are going to celebrate the Phantom Menace, we should have him on there. And the original release of that character, once again, trying to stay true to how Hasbro released him back in when that original movie came out, he only had the spear. So that's part of the reason why. And if we increase the blister size anymore to include all of the accessories, it would kind of be a departure package fit wise from the other characters. We wanted them to all kind of sit in a line.
I think just one other quick note in terms of the pricing, basically we did obviously the Obi-Wan and Maul in that premium packaging with foil for a convention. We wanted these to fit in that same collection and not look different. So they all have that premium packaging. And so the other ones are at a higher SRP than their mainline releases. This one's at the same because basically the packaging and then the reduced accessories cancel out.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. All righty, Dan, you're up next.
All right, so regards to the new vintage announcements, is the ATST driver a specific Imperial that we have seen before in canonical storytelling, perhaps a director from a certain movie?
So the ATST driver's portrait is loosely based off of Major Marquand from the Battle of Endor. So yeah, that's what the that likeness is based on.
I love it. I can't wait till Major Lucas.
All right, that's awesome. Up next, Paul.
Yes, with the new retro Star Wars The Black Series action figure just revealed, I have one question about the Jawa. Did you think to add a vinyl cap to the blister, or maybe to plan or release a special edition, something like this?
So we actually had a lot of discussions about the vinyl cape. It was something that we were looking at initially. We ran into a few issues with the vinyl cape because the Jawa has the permanent kind of chest strap that is attached to the weapon. It's all one piece, and it ended up really interfering with the vinyl cape quite a bit, unfortunately. We tried to put it on there, and that wire basically meant that you could really only pose it out with the gun coming out from the front, and we didn't really want to add a slit to it because we felt like that would kind of destroy some of the fun nature of those. And yeah, unfortunately, with the strap kind of permanently attached to that weapon, that's what kind of made it an issue for us. And it was a bit easier when it came to the regular soft goods because we could put that belt over top of the actual soft goods. And luckily, Kenner did do that back in the day. So we were still staying true to that. The vinyl cape, that's something maybe we could explore in the future, and maybe there's a workaround that we could get to. But at the moment, yeah, the plan is just the soft goods.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that you think about it.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of discussions about it.
Eric and the design team think about everything. All righty, up next, Matthew. Oh, sorry, I think you're on mute.
Firstly, it was great to see the other day the pipeline reveals and to kind of jump in front of the spoilers with some reveals and stuff, which I think was a great move and something Marvel had been doing. So thanks for that. I think it's a good way to move forward on at least a couple of figures and characters with the announcements and stuff. Just wondering, in the spirit of that, the 50th anniversary Lucas line, Are we talking 3? Is there going to be a rollout over the year of more Kenner kind of vintage Black Series figures?
And just to be clear, this is specifically the original Kenner Deco Black Series figures.
The Jawa and Greedo.
Yeah. So while I can't speak specifically to any characters that we haven't released yet, we will be having more just 50th anniversary reveals over the course of the year. And I can't really speak to specifically what those will be and what they entail, but that is kind of just moving forward. We will have more announcements, but I can't specifically say anything about like whether they'll be Kenner vintage or what they'll be, unfortunately. But we will have more things.
Cool. All righty. And Mike, for the end of our second round.
I think it's similar to Matt's question, but just to make clear, when we talk about more figures for the 50th anniversary regarding the vintage collection cards and 6-inch, we talk about more figures from the Kenner line with this card design, with the vintage collection card design, more than Greedo, Ben Kenobi, and the Java?
Sorry,
go ahead. So basically, yeah, I can't speak specifically to anything that we haven't revealed yet. Any official reveals will come from either our live streams or through partners that we have. So at the moment, it is just those 3 retro vintage figures at the moment.
And I would just say also, it's a cool expression. Like, again, kudos to Eric and the design team for thinking it up. Obviously, started it with Boba Fett and then the other 2 last year. If you guys like it, if your readers like it, like definitely let us know, because that's the sort of feedback that could impact whether we do more in the future.
Okay, great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll return with more from Hasbro's Star Wars team. This is Coffee with Kenobi. Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books but can't find the time? Try listening to them on audio, featuring sound effects, top-notch narrators, and music directly from the movies. Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Centuries before the Skywalker saga, a new adventure begins. The High Republic is a massive, interconnected, cross-publisher initiative focused on an all-new era of Star Wars storytelling. Listen to Star Wars Light of the Jedi, written by Charles Soule and read by Mark Thompson, and A Test of Courage, written by Justina Ireland and read by Kaylor Lee. Visit penguinrandomhouseaudio.com/Coffee with Kenobi to listen to clips and find your next listen, or buy now wherever books and audiobooks are sold.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
MSI and Mouse Fan Travel is your one-stop shop for your vacation needs and your plans to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or the cruise lines. Travel looks much different now than it did a couple of months ago, and with the opening of Walt Disney World and soon, hopefully, the opening of Disneyland, you need a place to go where you can trust, and they will help you figure out and navigate all the different circumstances and guidelines that Disney has put out for you. And I can say that we had our vacation modified, and as soon as dates were announced, MSI contacted me directly to help me reschedule, which is exactly what I was hoping to do. So if you are interested in rescheduling your vacation or want to try to plan a Walt Disney World, Disneyland vacation, or anywhere else you want to go on the planet, be sure to contact MSI and Mouse Fan Travel at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. Their signature service and expert advice will help you maximize your vacation time and dollar, and they will help you figure out all the different changes and modifications going on at the Disney theme parks. They are amazing, and I can tell you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, the peace of mind that Becky Mencken and the crew at MSI and Mouse Fan Travel have given me is invaluable. If you're interested at all, again, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel.
We're going to try to pick up the pace. We're through 2 out of 5 rounds and about halfway through. So we'll just try to answer a little more quickly. So James, you're up next.
Yeah, to paraphrase Indy, Walmart. Why did it have to be Walmart? Lots and lots of collectors are having major issues with Walmart. And are you aware of those issues, and how can those be addressed, please?
Yeah, so we're definitely aware. We're like I said, we're fans as well, and I know we say that, but not only are we fans of like the specific lines we work on, but like a lot of us are also fans of other lines, within Hasbro, and so kind of not even within the experience of being on the team, like we experience kind of all the joys and other things that you guys deal with as well. Obviously, as we've said before, retail exclusives are a key part of the line. They're key to maintaining those good relationships with our retail partners. And also, honestly, we've said before, like, we just wouldn't be able to get out all the product that we do if it weren't for these exclusives. It's not so much a case of shifting items from mainline to exclusives. It's just mainline's going to be what it is, and then the exclusives are really extra. This being said, again, we feel your frustration, and I know that's easy to say, but like we do experience it firsthand ourselves. I can say we're actively engaged in conversations, and that's not, again, just something we're saying. Like, there are actual meetings happening to discuss kind of what's been happening and how we can improve it in the future. We're kind of continually enacting changes to improve that distribution. Again, a specific example of this is that, as mentioned in the live stream, we're not going to pre-order everything directly when we reveal it if it doesn't make sense. Because again, we know that creates frustration, and in some cases, it would be better to pre-order a little bit later to allow time to get all the ducks in the row, or just go on sale normally when the on-shelf date hits. So we understand your frustration. Thank you for bearing with us, because we appreciate it. Let us know when things are going wrong. That's helpful, and we'll keep trying to work towards a better future.
Thank you.
Yep. George, you're up next.
All right. So my next question is kind of like revolves around the 50th Black Series releases. Looking at them, like especially the Jawa, it looks like to be a similar figure to what was already previously released. Just a different color for the Kenner colors. Is that how the whole line is going to be? Because the Obi-Wan looks the same way, as the 40th anniversary release.
Yeah. So it is the same mold. That's how we've been doing these original Kenner decos, at least going back to the Boba Fett that we released a few years ago. The Forlom and Zuckuss last year. We basically wanted to recreate the colors and the color inspiration for those. Luckily, with like the Jawa and Obi-Wan in particular, they did have an extra element that we could add in with both the soft goods and the vinyl cape. As I mentioned earlier, just the issues with that vinyl cape with the Jawa in particular. But yeah, we did brighten his colors to match that original release. So he comes in a lot more, the Jawa in particular comes in a lot more orange in that kind of underlying suit. So if you were to remove the soft goods or move those around, you'd be able to see that we did change pretty much all of the colors on him.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, Dan?
So regarding the Elite Squad Trooper, which is absolutely stunning, what differentiates this particular trooper from previous troopers as far as design, points, and detail?
So obviously the main point of difference is the fact that he's an all-black trooper. So that is something that is new to that trooper and something that we have not done, at least in the Black Series yet. So that's honestly the main point of difference. And with that being the main point of difference, we had a lot of discussions about that black and trying to make, because it's not just a pure black. We tried to have it be a bit more refined than just painting him full black. So that honestly is the main difference, and we'll find out more about that character in the Bad Batch when it comes out.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
No problem.
All righty. Paul, what do you have for us?
Yes, a little jump in the past. Do you have a little update of the Razor Crest?
Right now?
No,
we don't have any
soon.
news to break right now on the Razor Crest.
Or maybe soon.
So it's going well. There's no kind of hiccups. I guess we can break that news that there's no bad news. It's moving along. We've seen kind of early samples. It looks amazing. And we will be coming out on Pulse with an update on the Razor Crest at some point in the near future. But yeah, it looks amazing. We think you guys are going to love it, and it's going to be a great part of everyone's collection.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Matt, you're up next.
Just the same question as last year. HasLab, 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm. Any chance of a Black Series HasLab project, given that everyone's had their turn now by the looks of it?
So with this, obviously we once again can't speak to anything that hasn't been revealed or released yet. If you guys have ideas about just Black Series HasLab, I know that there have been a lot of discussions online. We would love to hear it. We were really happy with how the Razor Crest did, and it's definitely something that we're really excited about just in general as a program. So any sort of ideas that we can get or inspiration we can have that helps us move everything forward and being able to look to see what fans are excited about. So yeah, while I can't speak to anything related to Black Series HasLab or the 50th, definitely let us know what kind of things you'd like to see.
We could start with a Rancor.
That would be a great idea.
Absolutely. Stuff.
Yeah, I think just quickly adding on, Eric's right. We can't obviously say anything or promise anything, but we've had conversations. Like we know that the Black Series is, obviously a major part of our line, and we've had conversations. So that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, Mike.
Beside of the really cool live stream from Friday, I missed a little bit some words about maybe new vehicles in the vintage collection line. As far as I know, 2018 there were the last vehicles with the assault tank, which is a really great one, and a TIE fighter. Is there the vehicle line in the vintage collection dead, or is it still in progress?
I mean, in terms of vintage vehicles, I think the Razor Crest shows that it's definitely not dead. It's definitely a different business model, which we know. I do think also, in 2019 we had the Skiff, Poe Dameron's X-Wing. We had, as an exclusive, Luke Skywalker's X-Wing. Last year we had the Imperial Troop Transport. So there have definitely been a few in recent years. We learn a lot from each of those releases and kind of shape the future. HasLab was definitely, I can say it was the only way we were going to do the Razor Crest. That was not going to happen any other way. So vehicles like that, that probably makes sense as a business model in the future. But, that being said, I don't think that means you won't see any other vintage vehicles in traditional brick and mortar. So, whether those are, newly tooled vehicles or other vehicles, remains to be seen. But I think we will see some more in brick and mortar.
Yeah, especially the Mandalorian brought out a lot of stuff what maybe could under consideration. That's why I asked. Thank you.
Absolutely. No problem. All righty. We're going to keep trying to move quickly here, although there's such good questions. We're taking our time. But James, you're up next.
Yeah. We also had the Slave 1 re-release as well last year,
yes,
which was pretty cool.
Too many to remember.
So the European collectors are a little bit upset at the lack of availability of the Amazon exclusive figures. Those aren't being offered or don't appear to be offered anywhere here. So can you help us get those, please? Is there any way that we can get those to our shores?
Yeah, so this might be a similar case as the question from Matt about the Phantom Menace figures. I did check in with our team before this. I don't think that they were live right away, but I believe that they're all currently live across the EU on Amazon. I believe they're all up in the UK. I think 2 out of the 3 are up in France. I think Obi-Wan actually went up and then sold out. And then they go live this week in Germany. There was a issue with Germany that we addressed. I think also as of last week, they were ranked as the best sellers in action figures on the UK site. So I know that these questions were submitted kind of after the live stream, and so that's what I think happened. But again, I think this speaks to the fact that we're getting there. In some cases, there's just a bit of a delay.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Just quickly on that. Next time, as part of the live stream, could you communicate that if possible, so that people aren't pulling their hair out? Because then I think that helps with people not having to,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We can definitely look to communicate that at a kind of general level.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Cool. George.
All right. For the AT-ST driver, I know that we've had different versions in the past at the vintage level. Is this a new sculpt head to toe, or just the photoreal for the face?
It is the previously released mold with a photoreal face. Luckily, those photoreal faces do end up really elevating these figures, making them look a lot better, even on those previous molds. So that's something that we've been really happy about, especially with being able to get these new characters out there with like meaningful updates. But yeah, it is a previously released mold.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Dan, what do you have for us?
Absolutely. And I think I have to run after this one, FY. But how do you determine which classic Kenner figures would get the original Kenner Deco treatment?
So it comes down to two things. One is, do we have that figure? And then two, like, do we have that figure to be able to make the update? Because we would only utilize characters we've already tooled up. We wouldn't do a brand new tool just for Kenner figure deco. But the other one too is, does the Kenner deco look different enough from the Black Series release? Some of those earlier characters have really drastic changes in color. Greedo was a great example. He pretty radically changed his colors from the original Kenner to this one. So those are the characters that really make the most sense. And that's kind of where we get our selects from, is how different do they look.
The last one for me is there a ballpark time frame when we might expect to see the figures alluded to at the end of the live stream?
So most of those characters will either be in 2021 or 2022. They'll be out soon, just within the calendar year.
I think we could say all of them will be either later 21 or in 22.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Hey, thanks so much, guys, as always, for everything.
Absolutely.
Have a great day.
Thanks so much. See you later.
Bye-bye. There you go. There is part of my conversation with Hasbro's Star Wars team, including some other excellent members of the Star Wars media. Let's take one more quick break and close out the show. This is Coffee with Kenobi.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is... yes.
As we near the end of the show today, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to have a cup of coffee with me and for helping to spread the word about our Star Wars family we've got here at Coffee with Kenobi. Be sure to tune in Monday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/live or www.facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and have a cup of coffee, tea, or any beverage of your choosing with me as we continue the conversation. To join us in the CWK Cafe, which is our Facebook group, and share your Star Wars thoughts, comments, reviews, and opinions in a family-friendly, spoiler-free place that is also drama-free, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/community and be part of the conversation, talk about this week's show, or just talk about some Star Wars. We have a lot of fun, and you'll make some new friends, as well as catch up with longtime friends along the way. I also want to thank all of the new and longtime members of the CWK Alliance and let you know how much I appreciate your help and encouragement. I really appreciate our CWK Alliance members: Carol Cantwell, James Kersey, Greg Hargrove, Cato McNichol, Mary Purdue, Terry King, Smooth Rivera, J.C. Poe, Ed Kimoto, Robert Avila, Dustin Mills, Chelsea Sansbury, Tyler Pompa, Hannah, Alex Procasio, Ian Thompson, David Nicely, Simbot Deptridarian, Christine Turk, Ross Halliban, Kurt McQuellan, Dan Ream, Colby Mead, Brian Harding, Frank Mulder, Blake Weaver, Chris Metz, LJ Souter, Chris Skavarka, Jeff Ellis, Yancey Evans, Daz Davies, Susan Gray, Thea Selby, Christian Dale, Brian McKinney, Jim Capron, Connie Shee, Jared Cantor, Jason Hall, Eric Struthers, Greg McLaughlin, Aaron Harris, Mark Suter, Angela Sauce, and Dennis Keithley. If you want to join the CWK Alliance, go to www.cwkalliance.com and sign up today. Not only will you help out Coffee with Kenobi, but you also get access to CWK Pour-Over, the exclusive weekly podcast not heard anywhere else. It's a great way to support and help out the show, and 10% of your monthly contributions go directly to the St. Jude Children's Hospital to support the incredibly important work they are doing to help these brave children and their families. Plus, contributors at the CWK All-Star level can watch a video podcast of CWK Pour-Over hosted by me, Tom Gross, and Corey Clubb. Feel free to reach out anytime if you have any questions. In addition to being part of the community on Facebook, please don't forget to visit our website at www.coffeewithkenobi.com for Star Wars news, announcements, reviews, videos, and so much more. If you have a question for me or just want to share your thoughts on the air, feel free to email me at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com and I'll share them on the show. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Mr. Zaire, MRZEHR, or on Instagram at DanZareCWK. There are also a lot more ways to connect with me and Coffee with Kenobi on social media. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi. Check us out on Pinterest or subscribe to our Coffee with Kenobi YouTube channel. On our YouTube channel, you can find Facebook Live video, different interviews throughout the years, highlights of video coverage throughout the Coffee with Kenobi history, and the audio podcast itself. You can order my book, The Star Wars Book, which I co-wrote with Lucasfilm's Pablo Hidalgo and Cole Horton, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Books A Million, Walmart, or anywhere books are sold. You can also find my writing on Coffee with Kenobi's website, as well as StarWars.com, where I am an official blogger there, and on IGN, where I contribute occasionally to articles about Star Wars, as well as other popular culture topics. If you are considering starting a podcast or a blog, let me know how I can help you get started and make your creative vision a reality. Be sure to check out danzmedia.com and we can get the process started. I am also available to come to your school, conference, business, or organization to talk about how to tap into your strengths and help you bring out your very best. I want to inspire you to be inspired so you can take that first step into a larger world. Thanks as always to our Coffee with Kenobi sponsors, especially MEI and MSI Fan Travel, our travel partner and your one-stop shop for all things Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Lines, or anywhere on the planet you want to go on your vacation. Please go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/MouseFanTravel to book your magical vacation and help support Coffee with Kenobi in the process. If you like the show, please tweet out that you're listening, share it on Facebook, or invite your friends and family to tune in and share a cup of coffee with us. And if the Force is especially with you, please take a couple of minutes to rate and review the show on iTunes or Google Podcasts. Every review makes a huge difference and helps to spread the word, and I can't thank you enough for your help, for your support, and your friendship. I love so much being a part of this wonderful Star Wars community, and I can't thank you enough for all that you do for me and Coffee with Kenobi. That's going to do it for this week's podcast. Be sure to join us Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time for Facebook Live, and we look at your top 5 favorite Star Wars couples. I don't know why I didn't think of that for Valentine's Day, but hey, it's never too late to talk about some of our favorite Star Wars couples, so get your list ready and join us at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/live or go to facebook.com and search for Coffee with Kenobi's page. In the meantime, have a great week and weekend, everybody. Stay warm, and remember, this is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along. Move along.
Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Listen to Star Wars Light of the Jedi, written by Charles Soule, read by Mark Thompson, and Star Wars The High Republic, A Test of Courage, written by Justina Ireland and read by Kaylor Lee. Available now wherever audiobooks are sold.